You're the first person who I've spoken to who's here with a film that's on the market, which
Yes.
is a process that I feel like I've heard about for a long time. Obviously, a lot of films come here, they get sold. You see the headlines about it all the time. What's it like on a day-to-day basis? What is it like to be here selling your film?
Well, it sort of depends on whether things are falling into place or not. And they
How's it
seem
going today?
And they seem to be falling into place.
Okay.
We're with a very good company called Altitude, and they're going to take distribution in England where the film is set. And they're also selling internationally, and they found a lot of interest, so we're very pleased.
Okay, so are you...
We think it's a happening thing, we hope.
You think it's...
Knock on wood.
So you come here and you have these meetings, and are you just kind of giving your sales pitch and giving people their best idea of what the movie's going to be?
Yes, it's sort of trying to arrange European co-productions for our film. The last film, Love and Friendship, was a European co-production with Ireland, France, and Netherlands.
Okay.
And so we're trying to do sort of the same thing. And I think a really great can was the one, the ones before and when Love and Friendship came out. Mm-hmm. So in 2015, they had a sizzle reel.
Ah.
And those sizzle, because we'd already shot the film, but we're just editing it. And those sizzle reels are really brilliant. I mean, they're really so good.
You watch your own film, you're like, wow, I would watch that.
I sort of want to turn my film over to the people who do the sizzle reels and make it really good. And so we had a really good sizzle reel, and Amazon bought Love and Friendship off the sizzle reel,
wow.
which was great, in 2015. And then when we came in 16, we were selling the film all over the world. It had come out in Sundance, and the sales agent was able to sell the rest of the world. So that was a good one. But then there are a lot of cans in between that aren't so exciting. A lot. Without
naming names, what's it like when it's a can that's not so exciting? Is it just knocking on doors that close?
Well, it's mostly just sort of seeing friends and seeing business people. Mm-hmm. It's sort of a business thing. I mean, seeing films is really rare. I like to go to the Director's Fortnight, where they have our sort of films, sort of small comedies. Mm-hmm. And Metropolitan was semi-launched by the Director's Fortnight.
Premiered here, right?
Well, it premiered in Sundance, but then came here,
okay.
And it was very important internationally to be here. Mm-hmm. And it's a really wonderful section of the festival.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, Cannes, everything back then was different. Sundance was different. But what did it mean for Metropolitan to come here at the time? What did it do for you?
It was just fantastic because it went really well, and we were able to sell the rest of the world and sort of set it up correctly with all the distributors. We had a wonderful poster by the artist Pierre Letin that Criterion keeps using for the film. And so, I mean, it was sort of a Cinderella experience, like everything going well. And then the last film, the Jane Austen, was a Cinderella experience too. So the other films are more a harder slog.
Sure.
So if Barcelona and Last Days of Disco premiered at Seattle at the same time of year, that means they didn't get into Cannes. But that was a really good experience too. Seattle, that was then a great festival for North America.
Yeah. So you started, before you even made Metropolitan or Barcelona or anything, you were working as a sales agent for Spanish films?
I was selling Spanish films, and I was just reminiscing with someone, and I think my first festival was 1982.
Okay.
And I definitely started at the bottom.
Okay, I mean,
everything else.
Do.
No, the films were wonderful. It was just my knowledge and abilities as a salesman were
sure.
definitely low, and so that was starting at the bottom.
Well, I think a lot of directors, they get in directing, they have a story to tell and they have a passion for it and don't have any of that sales knowledge, and it can be kind of a rough awakening and saying, oh my God, I got to be a pitch man. So did it give you a good start in that way of knowing how to sell something?
It was really odd with Metropolitan because the first time I got somewhere where I knew something mm-hmm. was when we had finally completed the film. Mm-hmm. And through selling Spanish films, I knew Ira Deutschman and started talking to him about the film and invited them to see the film. And then it sort of went well. In fact, people I've done films with are the Sony Classics people, and when they were Orion Classics, I remember taking the film cans to show them the film, mm-hmm. and they didn't know who I was, and I was going down the elevators, they were talking about why they weren't taking the film and all that, but
yeah,
they did Damsels in Distress, so mm-hmm. I was very happy with that.
Carrying those film cans around was a whole different process of
yeah.
keeping your strength up to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, what makes someone good at selling a film, either as a director or doing sales? Like, what's kind of the secret to getting people on board with your vision?
Good question. I wish I knew. I really wish I knew. They're really great people at it, and people who are really skilled in foreign sales are very valuable people, and so they're kind of able to write their own ticket at the different sales companies.
Yeah.
It's a special talent.
What are people looking for these days?
I have no idea. But I'm really hopeful that things are going well now. It's great seeing people going back into the cinemas. And there are different areas where people come back. Like, I go around with Metropolitan a lot in the Christmas season to show it. And the exhibitors say there are many more young people coming to see offbeat old films.
Yeah.
And that they say that during the pandemic, they got to see films on Mubi and Criterion. They got used to that kind of cinema. And my generation, I don't think comes back that much anymore. But I think slowly, if people come back for the big films, I think they'll ultimately come back for the small films too.
Yeah. Do you look on Letterboxd or anything to see how like younger audiences are watching your stuff?
I mean, I love Letterboxd, but I don't really follow it closely. But I see it on Twitter and things like that. And
yeah.
It's really, really helpful, I think.
So when you're going around with Metropolitan, like, what are you learning from these audience? Are you seeing a lot of younger people? Are you getting a sense of what they're?
I mean, they're all
for?
ages, and it's fantastic. And you know, there are a lot of people who saw Metropolitan on a first date, and they come now with their kids, or maybe grandkids now, and so it's a really good experience. And we're starting to do it with Damsels in Distress, and Sony Classics might do a 15th anniversary re-release of Damsels in Distress, and we had one at Princeton. It was just sensational because the first time when the film came out, it wasn't really understood. That's the filmmaker's justification when something underperforms. And I think now with Greta so famous and Adam Brody so popular, I think it's a good time to show Damsels in Distress again.
Yeah, I think about that moment in Greta's movie Lady Bird where, you know, they do the play and Stephen McKinley Henderson says he just didn't understand it. And it feels like that's all artists have to have that moment of someone saying, don't worry about it. They just didn't get it. Well, and so Adam Brody is part of One Night at Claridge's working title.
Yes.
And you guys work together on the Cosmopolitans. So
yes.
What is that relationship? How is it, 15 years that you guys have been
It's even bigger than that because in addition, so we did Damsels in Distress. I met with Adam and he auditioned. We read the thing together, and he says the first time a director at the end of a meeting asked him if he'd work for cheap. And so I started negotiating his fee in the meeting.
You like just being honest right up front.
and so we were supposed to have two protagonists in sort of two romantic leads in the Cosmopolitans, but Adam was like the only person I found who I thought was perfect. And so we had Damsels, Cosmopolitans, and then a project we haven't done yet that we've been working on.
That's
and then
not this one. Okay.
It's not this one. And then this comes along. So in a way, this is the fourth.
Mm-hmm. So what does it make you guys work so well together?
Well, he's just a genius and really great. And he's sort of, I got to work with wonderful actors back in the 90s, Chris Eigeman and Taylor Nichols. And my dream is to reunite the three of them in a film with a Swedish actor I really like too, and to have all these characters together.
Yeah, it's kind of have like the generations of
Yeah.
everybody in one place. So what is the pitch for One Night at Claridge's? Maybe someone watching wants to buy it. Do you have an elevator pitch for it, or what?
For the new film?
Yeah.
Well, so the new film is a change because it's based on a novel, a really great novel, by someone more famous as a playwright. So Patrick Hamilton was a brilliant British playwright of the 20s and 30s, and he wrote Gaslight and he wrote Rope, both of which were turned into really notable movies, and he sort of invented the term gaslighting. And there's a lot of gaslighting in his work. There's a lot of tension and disorientation, and there's sort of, really quiet thrillers, or it's kind of a horror thing. So he has this wonderful mousetrap, this plot machine that's really fascinating. And I normally don't have that in my films. And so we have this core of something that is sort of fascinating and appalling, and yet there are other characters too. We have to externalize a lot of the things in it. And in writing that, there's a lot of comedy and romance and different characters. And so it's a hybrid between his work and my work. And so I think, what we say is either sort of come for the murder story or come for the comedy.
One way or another, you'll be happy.
Come for the comedy and find the sort of thriller story, or come for the thriller and find the comedy.
And it's set in World War II in England, but there's a bunch of Americans in it. Because in that time, there would have been a lot of Americans.
Yes, so there are two American lieutenants who come, and Adam is one of them. And our British lead is the wonderful Laura Carmichael, who is the lovely Sister Edith, the nice sister in Downton Abbey. And so I think that's an interesting romance. I remember seeing it when I was a child. There's James Garner and Julie Andrews together in the Americanization of Emily. And this is sort of the Americanization of Miss Roach.
Okay.
And I think, Adam is a worthy successor to James Garner. And
does he want to hear you say that? That feels like a lot of pressure to put on somebody.
Yes.
Well, and I think a lot of people think about your work about Barcelona thinking about Americans abroad. I mean,
Yeah.
we're now sitting here in Cannes, so it's
Yeah.
appropriate. Like, what is funny and interesting to you about that, about throwing Americans into this European setting, especially in World War II when many fewer Americans had ever come overseas? What do you get to mine from that?
Well, there's just so many things, and I think it's been a staple in so much literature and filmmaking. And it's really helped my films in the sense that there is a sort of elitist, snobbish aspect to some of my films when they're set purely in America. And a lot of people kind of resent the characters and the milieu. But when we come to Europe, we're all outside the red velvet rope. There's a thing like Europe is the exclusive disco, and Americans are the people not getting in. And so I thought it was really funny with Barcelona that it went really, really well in Canada because they could sort of identify with both sides. They could sort of despise the Americans and also feel the same thing of being excluded from Europe. So Barcelona did really well in Canada. And there's just so much material. We had Chloe come over to do Love and Friendship. And I think the conventional thing was she played the role as Jane Austen wrote it as an Englishwoman. But we thought it was so much more interesting to have her an American Tory exile. And then there could be all the jokes between sort of Kate Beckinsale making all her condescending remarks about Americans. And it gives a lot of humorous material.
Do you feel that way in Cannes as the American on the outside of the velvet rope? Because I definitely have in my limited experience
Well,
here.
unfortunately, I think we sort of dominate too much.
Oh,
and we sort of clobber them a little bit.
But they're sick of us also, with
I think they like the business. I'm very happy with the business. But you just have to, even though you don't want to pay for bottled water, you have to order the bottled water. They really get upset if you order bottled water. And in Paris, you can be a cheapskate and say a carafe d'eau, a carafe of water.
Okay.
But down in tourist country,
they
really want to sell you water.
This is the practical advice I needed before.
I think that's where their profit is in bottled water. And if you look at the prices, it must
I think there's a lot of money being made around here. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So this experience you're having with Metropolitan and just any of your films, and you've had a longer career, and you're seeing people rediscover it, reassess it. You're seeing damsels in distress have this moment. Does that kind of make you think differently as you work on a new film of like how will it be received when it comes out, but also 10 years down the road? Can you think about that when you're working on something?
Yeah, you definitely think about that a lot. And for me, I'm sort of running out of a tarmac, running out of runway. So I really have all these projects I haven't finished or fine-tuned or figured out that I kind of want to try to do while I still can.
Yeah.
And so I hope that sort of things seeming to go well so far in this will kind of lead to other things that Adam and I can finally do our other project and other films.
Well, and the Cosmopolitans, I think, is so interesting in terms of like work because you were so early in the streaming era, and that show comes out, and it's like I don't know what watching a show on Amazon is, and I know you were trying to kind of revive it at various points. Do you kind of feel like you were just like too early onto that bell curve of streaming to?
Well, the problem was everything started going well at once, so that happened right before we got to shoot Love and Friendship, and so I couldn't make it a series at that moment. I was going to come back to it and try to do a series, and I changed my idea. Meanwhile, and then the people at Amazon changed, and but there are elements of that I actually find that I want to use in something that could be sort of more satisfying. Sort of culturally, but so there are elements of that'll survive, I think.
Like maybe in the other Adam project.
I would sort of like to do it as a feature, a feature related to that.
Okay.
I sort of want to concentrate on features now.
Do you feel like you thought you were interested in television and just learned that you weren't? Or
Earlier, I would have loved television if I could have done it 20 years ago, because I like the idea of establishing the characters and then just running with them.
Oh, well, like having season after season.
Yeah, but now I don't feel I have time for that, and I really just want to do individual works that people, the great thing about film is it's kind of like books in a library, and they can sort of take it out and talk about it and see it and discuss it.
Yeah, and you don't have to have caught up on the 4 previous seasons to be able to jump into it, or know the spin-offs. Or
Yeah, I really want
like
to
that.
concentrate on features, but maybe do like a thing of, instead of doing the trilogy like the first films, there was a trilogy in retrospect only. We only decided to make we only made it a trilogy with Last Days of Disco. I sort of would like the idea of maybe thinking of a trilogy like Rick Linklater did with the Before series, and sort of do one and see if it works, but have the plan for succeeding volumes.
Yeah. Oh, your Before movies. I would watch those. I feel like those could be, if you did a series.
I'll
like
do
like
the after movies. After parties, after movies.
We've been waiting for his, another one of those to come out. I mean, with all the stuff we're talking about, indie filmmaking is not for the faint of heart. It is hard. You are pushing that boulder up a hill all the time. I mean, it sounds like you're feeling very driven by what you want to work on.
I think actually indie filmmaking is probably easier.
Wow. Than studio?
I think there's probably more pressure in those big films. And they set a release date, and you have a lot of executives worrying about it. I think once things are happening, indie films are probably an easier environment. I would think.
So you'd rather be here doing the sales pitches than having studio meetings and taking notes and doing the like.
Well, sometimes things sort of are a combination. So yes, you're doing the indie thing, but also a big company might come along and buy the rights for a certain territory. And that's very helpful.
Yeah. So what is it that keeps you going? You wake up and you say, okay, we're going to keep trying this, keep trying to get this movie made. Is it just the idea that won't let you go?
Yes. I mean, I have no idea why one keeps going, but and I remember a lot of these, there are some great directors who at certain points, I think it was Kieslowski said after his last film, he just wanted to sit in a dark room and smoke. and I don't smoke, but I do love the idea of sitting in dark rooms,
That's, I mean, again, I've been at Cannes for a few days with the idea of just laying down in a dark room with just make a white noise machine, maybe.
No, I have a new rule of trying to go home and go to bed early.
At Cannes?
Yeah.
How? Everyone's trying to keep you up till 2 a.m.
I know, but you have to resist.
You've been here enough times that you're like, okay, the beach will be here next year.
I just like going home, and I have a place where I can cook and just cook, stay home.
I'm telling you, this is the practical advice everybody needs before they come to a festival.
I mean, there are only so many fabulous meals you can have out. You want just a simple thing.
That's true. I'll be ready for my croissant tomorrow morning. Well, I'm very excited to see this film. I'm very hopeful that we will get to see it soon. And thank you so much for coming to
Thanks
talk to me
very
about
much.
it.
I appreciate it. And I love the Ankler.
Oh, thank you. We love your work, so we're happy to have it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.